Welcome back. You're listening to the Kate Dalley Show. So appreciative of that. And honestly, it's a Friday show. I love my Friday shows. And big thank you to John Schneider from Dukes of Hazzard at the beginning of the show. And of course, I have such a wonderful guest right now, Jay. Jay Bieber is really fighting the good fight. And this is motorists that get together and say, we want to do something about all of these things that are going on in our society right now that where Jay can see the bigger picture and he's understanding the 15-minute cities and understands where they're headed with all of this. And like you said, it's kind of like death by a thousand tiny cuts or in incremental stages. And we do not realize where we're headed with the loss of vehicles and being herded. And I really mean that, being herded into the public transportation that they've put an awful lot of money in. In my state, they've gone crazy with this because I have a very woke governor who pretends to be a conservative. But I'm talking about the fact that they are building out bike lanes and transportation. And I don't really see a ton of people utilizing these all the time. And so there was really not the need per se for the gazillion routes for bikes or the very costly, shuttles they're putting out and all of those things. They're not really being ridden a whole lot. And it's all in an effort to have this all ready to go when they want to take away cars, right, Jay?
Yeah, this is part of the plan, which is we want you to drive your cars, so everybody has to live in a dense urban environment, and you will like that. You won't own anything. The World Economic Forum, you've probably talked about this on the show. Yeah. They have a lot of plans for us because they know how you should live your life better than you do in their minds. And, literally as part of their you can read about them, but that they have put out, they have said that they believe we should cut driving by 75%. That's their goal.
Jeez.
So think what that would mean in terms of your ability to get around. So the way they want to do this is they want to shove everybody into, a dense area, overbuild, and force everybody to live in the city the way they want you to live. So if you want to go somewhere else, you won't be allowed to. You can't go from one part of the city to the other. They divide the city up into different sections, 15 minutes, and anywhere you can go, within 15 minutes by a bike or a bus, you're allowed to go to. But if you want to get in your car, you'll be penalized, or it'll take you like 5 times as long to get there because they don't want you to go anywhere. They don't want you having an impact on the planet. People are bad, cars are bad, suburbia is bad. Middle class lifestyle is bad. Everybody has to conform.
Yep, you're exactly right on that. And they're doing it in a way to manipulate and maneuver behavior into adopting all of this, because if they did it all at once, we would revolt, right? So they do it in incremental stages. Right. They're very smart about it. When people start to see more car-free zones popping up, I just watched a reel on Netherlands about this, and they have a car-free city now in the Netherlands, and they are really taking out these pilot programs for the car-free zones. But you're going to see these in all of these new developments that pop up, and they're going to say no cars here, no cars allowed, right? On certain streets and certain elements, and you'll see this more and more. You're probably seeing this everywhere pop up.
Yeah, this is happening here in Phoenix. Where I am right now. They built. Right. It's right now it's voluntary, but with the government, nothing's voluntary, right?
Right. So, exactly.
But they built this little area, and it's supposedly car free. Of course, they do have to have parking lots because people do have to go outside of this little neighborhood that they built here, because there's basically one grocery store and one restaurant, and
right.
build everything that everybody wants in one little area. You have to go other places, otherwise you can't live your life. And what they do is they say, oh, well, you can get on the transit, right? Because there's a light rail or whatever, and they're subsidizing that. So they're using public money, your money, the public's money, to subsidize the people who are choosing this lifestyle. And it's great if you want to choose that lifestyle, but A, I don't want to pay for it, and B, don't tell me I have to live with that if I don't want to.
Amen.
But that's what they want. They want to tell everybody that they have to live that way. Think about this, about how the difference in life before the personal automobile, the mass assembly of the personal automobile, where the average person can start owning one, and life before that. Before that, people didn't venture more than a couple of miles outside of the place where they grew up in.
You're
They
right.
never saw the world. They never saw the country. And so,
You're right.
that's what they want to get
So
back to. They want everybody just to live like we lived in, the late 1800s,
because we'd
early
be easy to
1900s,
control.
where nobody went anywhere and didn't experience life and didn't experience other people.
Right. No, you're so right on that. I also,
Bizarre.
with a few minutes remaining, I also want you to hit on automation because the self-driven cars, we're getting to the point where right now, not getting to the point, we have it right now. They're selling new cars with the technology that's very automated driving, maybe not 100%, but pretty much almost there. And so tell me how you feel about the dangers of this, because they're not selling the cars that way. They're not saying
Yeah.
self-driven, SUV, but the SUV is coming with it.
Well, and they're not supposed to be promoting it that way. Although there is sort of this underground thing, like, hey, this car will assist you doing all these things. There's two problems with this. Number one is that the more we take the driving task away from people, the more they become complacent on the roadway. So when the person does need to step in, they're not ready. They're not prepared for that. You get used to the car doing it for you.
Right.
But if we ever do any reasonable amount of time here get to fully automated vehicles they have them here on the streets of Phoenix, these robo taxis, these Waymo cars. And so right now there's cars that you can get in and it'll drive you and there's no driver. Right. So, but when they get to that point, what's going to happen when it becomes, for everybody, is that it won't be a choice. They'll say, well, it's too dangerous to let humans drive their own cars, so everybody will have to have one of these. Or you won't be able to have a car. There'll be some company like Uber or Lyft or somebody like that who has these automated vehicles, and you'll only be allowed to use those together. So it'll have to be controlled that way. And then just think about how much easier it is to control people when you control the vehicle. If you're not in control of the vehicle and the government decides it doesn't want you to go someplace, the car won't take you there. All they have to do is pass a law. The car has to follow the rules. So whatever rules they pass, the car will have to follow this rule. And let's say, for the sake of argument, that, I don't know, some crazy thing happens, there's a pandemic, and they decide nobody should go to work, or nobody should go to this part of town, or nobody's allowed to drive, leave more than a mile from their house. Right. Or they're only allowed to go to, whatever they determine to be the essential businesses. That would never happen. I know, but it's a crazy idea. But let's say that were to happen. All they have to do is pass that rule and the car has to follow it. So this is the problem with giving up the automation. And then a lot of these vehicles are obviously built by these big tech companies. These big tech companies may not be in a line with where you want to go and when you want to go there and how you want to live your life. And they'll just decide, just like they can on the internet, what you're being fed in terms of your news. They can decide where you want to go, where you can go. I'm so glad,
Jay Bieber, that you're doing the work that you're doing. National Motorists, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on. It's scary. It's really scary what they're doing. Thank you. And of course, be faithful, be fearless. See you back here on Monday. Everybody have a great weekend. KateDalleyRadio.com.
3 months after the apocalypse.
Oh, MREs again!
I'm sorry. One sec. One sec.